Hello my dear students, this is Daljit Kaur TGT English from KB number 1 Bathinda Kent. My dear students, today we will be reading the last chapter of class 9th English from the book Moments. I will explain the difficult word meanings and also explain the text of the chapter The Beggar. So let's begin. Kind sir, have pity, turn your attention to a poor hungry man. For 3 days I have had nothing to eat. I haven't 5 kopecks for a lodging. I swear it before God. For 8 years I was a village school teacher and then I lost my place through intrigues. I fell a victim to calumny. It is a year now since I have had anything to do. So here are the difficult word meanings. Kopek here means Russian coin equal to the 100th of a ruble. Intrigues here means make secret plans to do something illicit or detrimental to someone. Calumny here means the making of false and defamatory statements about someone in order to damage his or her reputation. So the explanation is, a man was begging alms. He said that he had not eaten anything for the last 3 days. He did not even have 5 kopecks to pay for a room to spend the night at. He swore it by God that he spoke the truth. He had been a school teacher in a village for 8 years but lost that job due to the conspiracy of his colleagues. For the last 1 year he was without work. The advocate Sergei looked at the ragged fawn-colored overcoat of the suppliant, at his dull drunken eyes, at the red spot on either cheek, and it seemed to him as if he had seen this man somewhere before. Suppliant means a person making a humble plea to someone in power or authority. An advocate named Sergei looked at the light brown colored coat of a beggar. The beggar had dull drunken eyes. There were red spots on both his cheeks. Sergei felt that he had seen that man before. I have now had an offer of a position in the province of Kaluga, the mendicant went on, but I haven't the money to get there. Help me kindly, I am ashamed to ask, but I am obliged to by circumstances. Mendicant means the beggar, obliged to means compelled or forced. So the beggar continued that he had got an offer of a job in the state of Kaluga in Russia. He did not have enough money to travel to that place. He wanted help, though he felt ashamed asking for it, but his circumstances forced him to do so. Sergei's eyes fell on the man's overshoes, one of which was high and the other low. He suddenly remembered something. Sergei saw the man's shoes. Both of them had varying heel sizes. He remembered something. Look here, it seemed to me I met you the day before yesterday in Sadovia Street, he said. But you told me then that you were a student who had been expelled and not a village school teacher. Do you remember? So here he said that the day before, the previous day, he had seen the same beggar at Sadovia Street. Then the beggar had said that he was a student who had been removed from the institution, and note that he was a school teacher. He asked the beggar if he remembered it. No, that can't be so, mumbled the beggar, then taken aback. I'm a village school teacher, and if you like I can show you my papers. So here what happens, the beggar was shocked and spoke softly that was not possible. He reasserted that he was a school teacher and could show his document as a proof. "This is dishonesty, my dear sir," he cried angrily. "This is swindling. I shall send the police for you, damn you." Swindling here means cheating a person for money. He screamed that the beggar was dishonest, he was a cheater, and Sergei would hand him over to the police. "Sir," he said, laying his hand on his heart, "in fact I was lying. I am neither a student nor a school teacher. All that was fiction. Formerly I sang in a Russian choir and was sent away for drunkenness. But what else can I do? I can't get along with lying. No one will give me anything when I tell the truth. What can I do?" Fiction means falsehood. The beggar confessed that he was lying. He was neither a school teacher nor a student. He had been a singer in the Russian choir and was removed due to his drinking problem. He lied because people would not give him alms if he told them the truth. "What can you do? You ask what you can do?" cried Sergei, coming close to him. "Work? That is what you can do. You must work." Sergei screamed at him and said that he could work instead of lying. "Work? Yes, I know that myself, but where can I find work?" The beggar said he knew that he should work, but there was no work for him. "How would you like to chop woods for me?" Sergei asked if he would chop for him. "I wouldn't refuse to do that, but in these days even skilled woodcutters find themselves sitting without bread." So the beggar wanted to chop woods, but said that even skilled woodcutters were out of work, so who would employ him for it? "Will you come and chop woods for me?" Sergei offered him work. "Yes, sir, I will." The beggar replied that he would chop wood for him. "Very well, we'll soon find out." Sergei hastened along, rubbing his hand. He called his cook out of the kitchen. Hastened means walking hurriedly. Sergei said that his willingness to work would be judged soon. He walked off, rubbing his hand, and called the cook from the kitchen. "Here, Olga," he said, "take this gentleman into the woodshed and let him chop woods." He asked Olga to take the man to the woodshed and let him chop. The scarecrow of a beggar shrugged his shoulder as if in perplexity and went irresolutely after the cook. It was obvious from his gait that he had not consented to go and chop the woods because he was hungry and wanted work, but simply from pride and shame, and because he had been trapped by his own words. It was obvious too that his strength had been undermined by vodka and that he was unhealthy and did not feel the slightest inclination for toil. Here the meaning of perplexity means state of being puzzled, bewilderment. Irresolutely means hesitantly, undecidedly. Gait means walk. Inclination means interest. Toil means hard work. The beggar resembled a scarecrow. His reluctance to go to the shed was signified by his act of shrugging his shoulders. He followed the cook hesitantly. He was hesitant because he was hungry, and although he wanted to work, he did not feel energetic enough to do it. As he had promised Sergei, he had to go to work. He did not feel strong enough because he was under the influence of alcohol and was not fit to do laborious work. Sergei hurried into the dining room. From its window, one could see the woodshed and everything that went on in the yard. Standing at the window, Sergei saw the cook and the beggar come out into the yard by the back door and make their way across the dirty snow to the shed. Olga glared wrathfully at her companion, shoved him aside with her elbow, unlocked the shed and angrily banged the door. Wrathfully here means with hatred. Shoved him aside means pushed him. So Sergei went to the dining room to look outside the window. He could see the woodshed and the yard. He saw the cook and the beggar in the yard. They walked to the shed. The cook Olga stared at the beggar angrily, pushed him with her elbow and shut the door. When Sergei moved into another house, he hired him to help him in the packing and hauling of furniture. This time the waif was sober, gloomy and silent. He hardly touched the furniture and walked behind the wagons hanging his head, not even making a pretense of appearing busy. He only shivered in the cold and became embarrassed when the caterers jeered at him for his idleness, his feebleness and his tattered fancy overcoat. After the moving was over, Sergei sent for him. Hauling means transporting. Pretense means to show something which actually does not exist. Jeered at him means made fun of him. Sergei shifted to another house and hired the beggar to help in moving the articles like furniture. Now the man was not under the influence of alcohol. He was sad and remained quiet. He hardly took part in moving the furniture. He simply walked behind the vans and his head hanging low and did not even pretend to be busy. He shivered due to the cold weather and seemed embarrassed when other workers made fun of him for being idle, weak and laughed at the torn overcoat. When the work was completed, Sergei called the beggar. "Well, I am happy that my words have taken effect," he said, handing him a ruble. "Here's for your pains. I see you are a sober and have no objection to work. What is your name?" So here Sergei said that he was happy to see the change in the beggar due to the scolding. He gave him a ruble for his labor and asked him his name, as he had left drinking and he was willing to work too. "Lushkov." The beggar replied. The name was Lushkov. "Well, Lushkov, I can now offer you some other cleaner employment. Can you write?" Sergei wanted to offer him better work and asked if he could write. "I can." Lushkov replied that he could write too. "Then take this letter to a friend of mine tomorrow and you will be given some copying to do. Work hard, don't drink and remember what I have said you. Goodbye." So Sergei handed over her letter to be delivered to a friend of his. Sergei's friend would give him copying work to Lushkov. He instructed him to work hard. They departed. Pleased at having put a man on the right path, Sergei tapped Lushkov kindly on the shoulder and even gave him his hand at parting. Lushkov took the letter and from that day forth came no more to the yard for work. Sergei was happy that he had reformed a man. He tapped Lushkov on his shoulder and shook hand with him. Lushkov went away with the letter and never returned. 2 years went by. Then one evening, as Sergei was standing at the ticket window of a theatre paying for his seat, he noticed a little man beside him with a coat collar of curly fur and a worn sealskin cap. This little individual timidly asked the ticket seller for a seat in the gallery and paid for it in the copper coins. Timidly means in a shy or nervous way. After 2 years, one evening, Sergei was standing at the ticket window of a theater. He was buying a ticket. He saw Lushkov standing next to him. He was well dressed, wore a coat, and coat was made of fur, and wore a cap made of seal's skin. He was shy as he asked for a ticket of the gallery seat and paid for it in coins made of copper. Lushkov, is that you? Cried Sergei, recognizing in the little man his former wood chopper. How are you? What are you doing? How is everything with you? Sergei recognized Lushkov and met him. He asked how he was, what he was doing, and how everything was going. All right, I'm a notary now and I am paid 35 rubles a month. Here, notary, a person authorized to perform certain legal formalities, especially to draw up or certify contracts, deeds, and other documents for use in other jurisdictions. So Lushkov replied that he was fine and was working as a notary. He got paid 35. When I used to come to your house to chop wood, she used to begin, "Oh, you sot, you, oh, you miserable creature, there's nothing for you but ruin." And then she would sit down opposite me and grow sad, look into my face and weep, "Oh, you unlucky man, there's no pleasure for you in this world, and there will be none in the world to come. You drunkard, you will burn in hell. Oh, you unhappy one." And so she would carry on, in that strain. I can't tell you how much misery she suffered, how many tears she shed for my sake. But the chief thing was, she used to chop the woods for me. Do you know, sir, that I did not chop one single stick of wood for you? She did it all. Why this saved me, why I changed, why I stopped drinking at the sight of her, I cannot explain. I only know that, owing to her words and noble deeds, a change took place in my heart. She set me right, and I shall never forget it. However, it is time to go now. There goes the bell. Lushkov bowed and departed to the gallery. Sot here means a habitual drunkard. Lushkov continued that when he would visit the place to chop woods, Olga would scold him. She would feel sad for him and wept. She felt very sad for him and would chop all the woods for him. Her behavior changed him. Just then the bell rung. Lushkov bowed to Sergei and left for the gallery of the theater. So my dear student, that is all about the summary of this chapter. I hope you understood it. Thank you.